The London Trap. Why 2026 is the breaking point. Imagine you've just landed a job in the heart of London. The salary is £45,000 a year. On paper, you've made it. You are statistically in the top 20% of earners in the United Kingdom. You should be building a life, planning holidays, and looking at property. But by the 20th of every single month, your banking app is sending you low balance alerts. You're choosing between a social life and a savings account. You're eating supermarket meal deals just to afford a deposit that seems to move further away every time you manage to save a pound. In 2026, London isn't just a city anymore. It's a high-stakes financial experiment. And for hundreds of thousands of us, the experiment is reaching a catastrophic failure point. Today, we're going to unpack the London Trap. We're going to look at why the numbers say you should leave, but the system is meticulously designed to ensure you can't. Behind the shimmer of the glass towers and the £5 lattes, there is a growing crisis hiding in plain sight. It isn't just affecting the poor or new migrants. It is squeezing working professionals, young families, and lifelong Londoners. They are paying more but getting less. They are working harder, living smaller, and constantly calculating how much longer they can hold on. Why do they stay? Why don't they leave even when the pressure becomes unbearable? To understand the London of 2026, we have to look at the forces, emotional, financial, and systemic, that anchor people to a city they can no longer afford to live in. Let's talk about the most obvious jaw trap, the cost of existence. By early 2026, London remains the most expensive city in the UK by a staggering margin. The cost of living here, before you even factor in a roof over your head, is 20% higher than the national average. But once you include rent, that gap becomes an abyss. In 2024, a modest one-bedroom flat in Zone 2 hovered around £2,000. By 2026, that figure has pushed past £2,250 in many boroughs. Compare that to a similar flat in Manchester or Leeds, which might cost half that. That is a difference of over £12,000 a year in post-tax income just for the privilege of a London postcode. But rent is just the entry fee. Every aspect of life here carries a London surcharge. Council tax is steeper. Utility bills are inflated by aging infrastructure. And transport costs are some of the highest in the developed world. A monthly travel card for multiple zones can easily cost you £250. Then there is the breaking point for families, childcare. In London, childcare costs have become a second mortgage, often exceeding £1,800 a month per child. For many working parents, they aren't working for a profit. They are working simply to pay for the right to go to work. The most common advice people get is just move. But in 2026, moving is a luxury many cannot afford. We call this the relocation tax. Part 1. The exit capital. To leave London, you don't just need a plan, you need significant exit capital. Think about the mechanical reality of moving. You need a new deposit, usually 6 weeks rent up front. You need moving logistics, professional cleaning, and time off work. Part 2. The cost of relocating. For a professional couple, the cost of physically leaving the city can easily range from £3,000 to £5,000 for someone already stretched thin and living month to month. That isn't just a bill, it's an insurmountable barrier. Part 3. The commuter dilemma. Even if you manage to move further out to the commuter belt to save on rent, the system finds a way to take that money back. A longer journey eats up 3 hours of your day and thousands of pounds in transport fares. Part 4. The personal trade. In the end, you aren't really saving. You end up trading your mental health and your precious time for nothing more than a slightly larger living room. Part 5. The employment hub. Then there is the career monopoly. London remains the undisputed economic center of the country. Nearly a third of all high-paying jobs are based here. This creates a structural anchor that is hard to break. Part 6. The network effect. If you work in fintech, media law, or the arts, moving is a major professional risk. In these sectors, being present in the city matters. Leaving means losing the networks and the sudden opportunities that only happen in the London bubble. Part 7. The high-stakes game. Why do we put up with it? Why do we tolerate the aging walls and the 90-minute tube journeys? Because London functions like a high-stakes game. The odds are tough. The costs are real, but the dream is magnetic. Part 8. The false comfort. London breeds a specific kind of drive that acts like a distraction. It hides the present discomfort with the promise of future success. It's the voice saying, just one more year, one more promotion, one more big contract. Part 9. The investment trap. We suffer from a heavy sense of lost investment. We've put our youth, our rent, and our best energy here. Leaving feels like admitting a loss. It feels like stepping away from the person you thought you were going to become. Part 10. The rate increase. It isn't just renters. Even the lucky homeowners are hitting a wall in 2026. Many bought when interest rates were at historic lows. Now, as those fixed-rate deals expire, they are facing a massive jump in costs. Part 11. The property prisoner. Monthly payments are jumping by £1,000. These people have high value on paper, but no cash in the bank. They are property prisoners. They can't move because taxes and new interest rates make a change of home impossible. Part 12. The big question. They are stuck in houses they've outgrown, anchored by debt they can no longer easily manage. We have to ask the uncomfortable question, who actually benefits from London being this expensive? The answer is clear. The system isn't broken. It is working exactly as intended for those who designed it. It extracts your labor, drains your income, and devours your time. When you are burned out or priced out, the city doesn't pause. There is always someone new, wide-eyed, hopeful, and ready to take your place in the machine. Landlords, developers, and overseas speculators profit from this scarcity. Politicians often talk about leveling up, but the reality is that major infrastructure and private capital continue to flow toward the capital, reinforcing its status as the nation's economic black hole. As of 2024, only a tiny fraction of promised regional funding had been deployed. By 2026, the gap between London and the rest of the UK has only grown wider. Ultimately, this isn't about poor individual choices. It's about a systemic failure to treat housing as a human right, rather than a financial asset. So what is the solution? There is no silver bullet, but the steps are clear. We need to build truly affordable social housing, homes for people to live in, not units for investors to trade. We need a radical rebalancing of the national economy that makes other cities genuinely viable alternatives for high-skilled workers. And we need fair pay that reflects the reality of 2026. But on a personal level, the choice is harder. For some, leaving London is the ultimate freedom, a chance to finally breathe, to own a home, to have a life outside of work. For others, staying is a gamble they are willing to keep taking. London is a paradox. It offers immense opportunity and unbearable cost. It is a city that gives you everything, provided you can survive the price of admission. If you're feeling the squeeze today, remember, the struggle isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of a system that has lost its way. Whether you stay and fight for the dream or leave to find your peace, don't let the city convince you that your bank balance is your identity. Because a city that doesn't love its people back isn't a home. It's just a business. And maybe it's time we started looking at the balance sheet.